The girl was sealed in a barrel full of syrup, then fitted with an oxygen mask to preserve her. Finally, the barrel was pushed into a gasoline-coated chamber. The oxygen tube was then yanked out, and a match was thrown into the room. Quickly, the fire began to rage. At this point, Annie in the barrel not only had to hold her breath for 30 minutes, but also endure the scorching flames. And the reason they did this was actually to save Annie's life, because Annie was born with allergies and couldn't be exposed to any outside bacteria. Everyone used the high heat of the flames to disinfect, hoping to create a germ-free environment. But as the 1,000-degree fire continued to burn, Annie quickly fell into a coma. Watching the flames in the chamber slowly die out, the men hurriedly lowered the room temperature, while immediately pumping in sterile oxygen. But no matter how much they called out to Annie, she never regained consciousness. However, just as everyone thought the rescue had failed, Annie slowly crawled out of the iron barrel. Seeing that she wasn't burnt to death by the fire, everyone finally relaxed. It turned out that Annie had low immunity from birth, and had lived in a sterile protective bubble since childhood. But a sudden earthquake caused the roof of Annie's house to collapse, coincidentally snapping an electrical wire. If the power was shut off, Annie's room would lose oxygen, but if the power wasn't cut, the room could catch fire at any moment. At the critical juncture, everyone carefully removed obstacles under the captain's command. Unexpectedly, when the cleanup was only half done, a strong gust of wind suddenly blew outside, causing the wires on the roof to instantly tangle. Sparks flew out, and a sharp tree branch smashed into the protective bubble. In a life-or-death moment, Annie quickly found an air cushion to prop up the bubble, preventing the branch from piercing the membrane. But soon a burning electrical wire fell onto the protective film. In just 1 minute, the entire sterile chamber would be destroyed. So now Annie had to be taken away. They handed her a protective suit. However, another wire fell down, blocking the sterile chamber door. At the critical moment, Annie pulled out a dagger and sliced through the protective film. The moment Annie stepped out of the chamber, it collapsed. Now they had to get Annie to the hospital as quickly as possible. But as soon as they set off, Annie began having difficulty breathing. Then rashes started appearing on her body. But the hospital was still 50 kilometers away. There was no way Annie could make it that long. So everyone had to stop at a factory building, preparing to make a sterile chamber. Then they found syrup that could isolate air, planning to use it to high-temperature disinfect Annie first. So everyone split up. One group was responsible for coating the walls with alcohol to disinfect, while the other group helped Annie take off her protective suit and climb into the barrel, which led to the scene at the beginning. After Annie regained consciousness, the adverse reactions on her body were all gone. Finally, with everyone's help, Annie was transferred to the hospital, given a new lease on life.